Welcome to week 3 of the Christology course. As you know, we are dealing mostly with St. Luke and his gospel in this week, and we also have a small section in the lecture on Acts. What is important for this slideshow is to try and help you appreciate just a few comments on the Last Supper and the Passion. End of slide 1. Just to give you some idea of the vast range of materials written on Jesus Christ, I chose, we did Augustine obviously last week. This time I chose the Catena Aurea by St. Thomas Aquinas, who, as you know, died in 1274. Catena Aurea means the golden chain. Don't forget, Thomas Aquinas had a large range of libraries with him. Wherever he was, he had access to these libraries. And so he was able to do a lot of digging in the tradition of the church as well as in other sources. So in the Catena Aurea, you have a number of writers mentioned. St. John Chrysostom died in 407, bishop. The word gloss he uses when he's found a manuscript with an extra sentence or phrase that has been inserted that is not in the other manuscripts that he has been looking at. He refers to the Venerable Bede. This is the great English writer, wrote the Ecclesiastical History. He died in 735, was a prominent commentator on Scripture. He refers to Theophylact. I think this is Theophylact of Ohrid, died in 1107. Again, a commentator on Scripture from the Eastern Church. Titus, it's not the Titus we know from the New Testament. This is Titus of Bostra, and he died in 378. And he lived in the place that is Bostra, which is now known as Syria. The town is located in what is now Syria. And again, so Eastern Church. And then Eusebius, he refers to, is the Eusebius of Caesarea, who died in 339. One of the very first people to write formal history, in a sense that we would recognize it, and consequently is known in many circles as the father of history. And these are just some of the texts that were available to Thomas as he was putting together his treatment of Jesus Christ by the church. Just one more comment. The lectures, or the lecture for this particular week, refers to some theological points that are found in the Lucan Gospel. And so you have things like table fellowship, things like that help us to appreciate some of Jesus' own theological horizon. But now let's stay with the text that we're going to read in this little video, and this is the end of slide 2. Slide 3 gathers together the scriptural text just of the Last Supper and the Passion. The text by Aquinas, the Catena Aurea, and some sections of Caresci that refer to this particular time in Jesus' life. And so in the scriptures, we have the references to the conspiracy to kill him, the preparations for the Passover, the actual celebration of the Passover, which we now know as the Last Supper. During the Last Supper, the betrayal of Jesus is foretold by Jesus. He explains also at the same supper the role of the disciple, and during that supper as well, we have Peter being told of his denial that would be coming in the future. In the Catena Aurea, Aquinas has basically followed the scriptural order, and so verses 1 to 6, the people seeking to kill him, 7 to 13, the preparations for the Passover, 14 to 20, the institution of the Eucharist, 21 to 23, the foretelling of the betrayal of Jesus, 24 to 27, the disagreements among the disciples themselves, and Jesus kind of sorting out what a disciple is. And then 28 to 30 is the teaching on the kingdom. And finally, you have in 31 and following, you have Peter and the issue of the denial. Then in the third text, we have Qureshi, which we're using as the backbone for this course. And we have Qureshi dealing with things in a different order, because essentially he's dealing with theological points. He is not arguing about events necessarily. He's trying to get to the theology, or the Christology as we refer to it. And so in the first section of his, he just titles it "Get Behind Me," obviously the Jesus' reaction to Peter. Number 2 then is the Last Supper and the teaching on the kingdom. And 3 is the sacrifice of the servant. So we have a small theological teaching there on the servant, and of course that it goes back into the whole treatment of the word servant in the Old Testament. And with that, we come to the end of slide 3.